But let's see what else he, something else he said I want to get to.
The Son on earth. And here he's giving you an example of what it's like in the afterlife when you die. And I'm going to prove it to you. I'm going to prove it. Now, brother, I'm going to just give these for you. You don't need to turn there. We know that in Genesis 11, 22 to 32. If you guys read Genesis 11, 22 to 32, Abraham was from the Ur of Chaldee, right?
Yep.
And that would be in Shinar, meaning Iraq, called Babel. We then know that his father, Terah, and him, they settled in Haran.
Yep.
And his ancestors died in Ur of Chaldea, and his father and his brother died in Haran. Then Abraham was told to live in tents with his wife Sarah and Lot and his wife in Canaan, right?
Correct.
We also know, and guys, don't take my word for it. We also know that in Genesis 23, when Sarah died, he purchased the cave of Machpelah to bury Sarah there. And the only one buried there was Sarah. No one else. Sarah was the only one buried in that cave. Abraham's ancestors, his father, mother, they were buried elsewhere. His dad would have been buried in Haran. His ancestors in Ur of Chaldea. Keep that in mind. Now, watch what God tells Abraham in Genesis 15:15. Read it for me.
As for you, you shall go to your fathers in peace. You shall be buried in a good old age.
Wait, it says, as for you, you shall go to your fathers in peace. Now, notice the qualifier. This is going to confirm that Jesus' teaching, Luke 16, is based on an actual reality. He's giving you an actual reality. In other words, he's describing the afterlife as it is. Notice he says, Abraham will be gathered to his fathers in peace, right?
Correct. Paradise.
Implication, not everyone there is in peace, right?
Correct.
You will be gathered to your fathers in peace. You shall be buried in a good old age. Now, brother, when Abraham died, he was buried next to Sarah in the cave of Machpelah. There was no one else. But it says, you'll be gathered to your fathers. Where your fathers are, you will be gathered to them, and you'll be in peace. But he wasn't gathered to them physically because his ancestors were buried in Ur of Chaldea, his father Terah in Haran. But when he died, he was buried next to Sarah. What does it mean that he was gathered to his fathers in peace?
Well, let me help you. Let me see if we can explain this as simple as possible. When someone dies, they're dead. That's where he was gathered. All of his fathers died. All of them. They all went to the same place. Want to know where that is? It's the grave. They were all gathered beneath the earth. And if you want to talk about it spiritually, in that case, all spirits went to heaven. If you want to look at it spiritually, physically, they're dead. He was dead. All of his parents, all his ancestors, they died. They all went to the same place. And guess what? When you die, you're going to be guided there as well. They try to confuse things, make things so simple. Like they thrive on the ignorance of people. These guys study the Bible. This guy, he seemed to be pretty knowledgeable. He claimed he memorized it a lot better than me. I can't memorize text like that, but I can remember what I read and I can find it when I want to look for it. It's a lot better to understand than to memorize. Yeah, brother, but when you have to make a decision, you need to know what it is. You just can't go off by memory. You have to understand what you read and what you're memorizing. And he ain't doing any of that. He's confusing people. He's conflicting two things that they're separate. And it's making all kind of sense to him and Myles. I guess he's on for the ride, so he disagreed with everything.
Where were his fathers? For him to be gathered there, to be with them, but he'd be in peace.
Yeah, they were dead. That's what it was.
In Sheol, the realm of the dead.
Oh, look at that. You can't make this up. You cannot make this up. He asks the question, then he answers it himself. Just like the other doctor. He was like, I want you to give me a text, then he gave us a text. You can't use that one, though. Can't make this up, man.
Meaning, this right here proves that when Abraham died, though his body was buried, his soul left, his spirit left, and went and to be united with the others who had died, because they all dwell in the same realm.
No, he get that. They all dwell in the... Where do you find that? No, if you just come to that conclusion by yourself, where do you find that they all dwell in the same realm? And he isn't reading anything into the text, obviously not. The text says that, clearly states that. These guys are dangerous, man. They don't know the danger that they're in. They're deceiving people and confusing people, and then people start to follow them, and they start to hold their opinions. And a lot of people are going to be lost because of that, because of people like this. They have brainwashed people into believing such stupidity and nonsense to the point that people can't even think for themselves. You try to talk to people that listen to these people, it's difficult. And they start to focus in on, this guy knows so much, and he's a doctor, and he's this, and they start to look at earthly qualifications. They say, well, we can read the Bible together. No, we don't. That guy already read here. He knows a lot more than you. He already explained that. And that's it. I don't want to hear anything from you. But let's just read the Bible. I don't want to read the Bible. That guy don't tell me. Yeah, at that point you better pack your bag and go, because that's a fight waiting to bro. And they ain't playing. These people can get dangerous. They can get dangerous. Physical, violent. That's the kind of people that these people breed. You think they think they're going to get away with it, though. Yeah, their God is going to make a... They're going to see if my God or their God is the real God.
It cannot mean physical burial, because when Abraham died, his body was not gathered to the tombs of his fathers. Let me prove that. Go to Genesis 25, 8-9.
Yeah.
Now, if we have to do a part 2, let me know, brother, because I don't know how long you want to do this. It's up to you.
No, you're fine. Let's keep going.
Genesis.
We got to get to their Christological heresies and the Michael the Archangel point.
All right, listen, that will be it, huh?
Abraham breathed his last and died in a good old age, an old man and full of years, and was gathered to his people.
Now, before you move on, brother, notice what came first. He died and was gathered to his people, and then his body was buried.
Correct.
Read all the way to 10. I'm sorry. I should have had you read all the way to 10. Sorry.
Isaac and Ishmael, his sons, buried him in the cave of Machpelah in the field of Ephron, and the son of Zohar, the Hittite, east of Mamre. Add another verse on.
Sorry about
Whoops. No, you're good.
Good. Let me just jump in there. Let me read that, because I like these Bibles these guys are using. They're always using different Bibles that say what they wanted to say. Let's go with the good old King James, shall we? Then Abraham gave up the ghost and died in a good old age, an old man and full of years, and was gathered to his people. So he died and was gathered to his people. And you see what that says there? He died and then was gathered to his people. Huh? So in his mind, it should have mean that he was gathered to his people and then he died. That's the way it should have been written, right? Wait a minute. Let me just rewind that, because maybe his book has it different backwards or something. And Abraham breathed his last and died in a good old age, an old man full of years, and was gathered to his people. How else was that supposed to be written? You know, you die first and then you're buried. I mean, that's the way it usually works, right? You don't get buried and then you die after you're buried. I mean, you're definitely going to die after you're buried. But I mean, usually that's not the way it works. It's usually it works this way. You die and then you're buried. Then you gather to your people. But usually that's the way it is.
The Hittite, east of Mamre. Add another verse on.
Makes no sense.
Whoops. No, you're good.
This is a Trinitarian for you, brothers and sisters. This is Trinitarian teaching. Bible call it confusion. Mystery. These mystery religions. That's what they are. And Trinitarian, that definitely is a mystery religion, because they don't know what Trinity is. What's the Trinity? It's a mystery. Can you explain it? Oh, it's a mystery. No, there's one mystery in the Bible. The Bible calls a mystery. Want to know what it is? Let me show you. Here it is, Revelation 17, verse 5. And upon her head was a name written. What was the name that was written on her head? Mystery. That's the name that's written there on her forehead, brothers and sisters. Mystery. This is the Trinity. Yeah, her name is not the description of her name. Mystery. Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abomination of the earth. The name is mystery. That's what it's called, brothers and sisters. And what is the Trinity called? What was that? What's that? What? You guessed it. Mystery. That's the definition of the Trinity. That's its name, brothers and sisters. The Bible's talk about it. This is their God. The abomination of the earth. That's what the Trinity is. I don't know why I went off there.
The field that Abraham purchased from the Hittites, there Abraham was buried with Sarah, his wife.
The only other body in that cave was Sarah. But it says in verse 8, when he died,
the only other body in that cave was Sarah. How many people was in the grave? It was only Sarah too. Oh, I'm sorry.
He went to his father's.
And then he was buried. So what happened first? What came first? Read that 8 again. What came first? Him being gathered to his fathers or him being buried next to Sarah?
Abraham breathed his last and died in a good old age, in old man and full of years, and was gathered to his people.
So when he died, he automatically was gathered to his people? Right? You see it, brother? Because you're like, you're silent.
No, I'm just like...
Goodness gracious. Like, you see it, brother? It's Myles like, yeah, I see it. Yeah, I see it. I'm just trying to let it sink in. He's like, you can't pick this up. He's like, yeah, I'm saying, know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of the king. This guy that came in, he went to the king. Told the king, I can make you one dress, one robe that the highest quality. And I need about a couple of months to make this thing because I need to get special material, dragon breath and all kind of stuff and dragon teeth and this extreme. There's no other robe that's gonna be like this one. He went, really? Yeah, I want that one. Oh yes, it's gonna cost you so much. Pay anything for that robe. I need to have that. I need that now. The king's getting sick. He really need this robe that no one else can ever have. How can I make a second one like it? It's only enough material for one in this whole world. That's going to be mine. It's going to be mine. So the guy, after a few months, came. Said, well, I need my payment in advance. He paid him. The guy went. After a few months, he came back. And he came back with this, with his hand outstretched and walking to the king. King, I have finished the robe. This robe is so light that you wouldn't even feel that you have it on. And the king's like looking around. But I want to tell you one thing, king. Only those that is pure of heart can see this robe. Oh, he's thinking, I'm pure of heart. I can't. Do you see how beautiful this is? Oh, yeah, that is a one-of-a-kind robe. One of a kind. Never seen anything like that. Do you all see that? Yeah, that's a beautiful robe, king. I've never seen something so splendid. Oh my goodness, I need to put it on. The king went and stripped. He said, yes, king, let me go ahead and put this on. Stretch out your arm, please. And oh my king, this thing was made for you. It's not really. That's right, it's made for me. This is so light, I don't even feel like it's on me. Wow, you are really true. You're telling the truth about this thing. They tell everybody and say, whoever can't see this robe is because they're not pure in heart. And they do not have the fortitude to hold the office that they have. Everybody looking at the king, butt naked, riding on his horse. And then that's a beautiful robe. That's a beautiful robe. And one little child was there in the crowd. The child said, Mommy, why is the king naked? And the king heard it. He goes, what? Pure in heart. It was a child. Obviously, the child was pure in heart. He didn't see it. And all the adults, everybody was there. A beautiful robe looking at the king, butt naked. That's mine right now. It's like, yeah, I see it. Yeah, I'm just letting it sink in. It says the opposite of what he just said. And he's like, do you see it, brother? Do you see it? Yeah, I see it. But let me read that again. Let me read it again. Abraham breathed his last, and died in a good old age. He died, so he's dead. An old man full of years. He died, an old man full of years, and was gathered to his people. So he died, and then he was buried. In my simple way of seeing things, he died and then was buried. In that order. That's the order that the Bible gives us anyway. But Myles, he's seen it. He sees that robe.
Based for the audience, I like to let their wheels and gears turn.
Let me know if they're getting it.
Let me know if they're getting it. Yeah, let's just do as soon as I get it. Oh my goodness. These are jokers, man.
So he died and gathered to his... Then the body was buried.
What? What? Isaac and Ishmael, his son, buried him in the cave of Machpelah. When did they bury him? After he died. Say he was gathered to his people. Huh? He was dead. So in his mind, he went off somewhere. He went off with his people. And what was his people doing? That's the next thing I would like to ask. What his people was doing? I don't know. His people probably, well, they wasn't praising the Lord. That's for sure. The Bible tells you the dead doesn't praise the Lord, but they really wasn't dead. They were alive. So if they wasn't dead, how can they be dead? See, this is the confusion that they arrive at. They believe that when someone's dead, they're not dead. When they're alive, they're not alive. They have everything backwards. Everything. Everything is backward to these people. Everything. Myles, he's trying to catch it. Yeah, I can see that. He died and was gathered to his people. And how exactly, let's look at it, how he's trying to put it. Let's just say that he died and he was literally or spiritually gathered to his people. No, not in death. Not in death. He didn't believe that is death. He believed he was gathered to his people in life. Let's just say that. He was gathered to his people. How was he gathered? Did he go to his people? Was he like roll up in a bundle with his people? How exactly was that? But he's a spirit, so he can't roll up as a bundle. This thing is wrong on so many levels. This thing is wrong on so many levels. They would take simple verses like this and make this thing so obscure that no one can understand what it says. And not even them. You see what that says? He was gathered to his people. And the Bible clearly states, doesn't leave you to imagine the dead praise not the Lord. That's what the Bible states. It does. You don't know how to interpret that. But no, if you look at this thing from this angle, see what that says there? His people, he was gathered to his people, and then he was buried. Yeah, there you go. Gathered to his people, then he was buried. So that means that, where was he buried? There's something about that. If he was gathered to his people and he is alive, then why did they bury him if he was alive? Because obviously he's not dead. He's alive. You would think that they shouldn't bury someone that's not dead. But the Bible clearly said that he died. He was gathered to his people. And where were he gathered? In a grave. Where all of them is. No, but that doesn't mean grave. That doesn't mean grave. Because right here after that it tells you that then they took him and they buried him. So he was gathered to his people before he was... I firmly believe that God has these things written in this way to confuse people like this. I firmly believe that. God has it written this way for people. They're looking for something like this. Because the truth isn't good enough for them. Well, I tell you, point blank, dead praise not the Lord. Everyone that goes on into the pit, silence forever. But see, they need, their God requires that people continue living. It's spiritualism. That's what it is. It's spiritualism. Sad state, anyways.
But the only other body in that cave was Sarah. How was he gathered to his people?
Because all his peoples are in the grave.
Well,
How's that?
because Abraham wasn't just a anthropological monist creature.
So, guys, ironically, Genesis proves that there is life after death. There's a realm of the dead, so that when bodies die, their souls
Genesis proved that, huh? Genesis proved that, he said.
gather in that place. Now, I'm going to tie it with Jesus' parable to show you that Jesus was speaking of actual realities, what actually takes place when you die, and it's not simply a metaphor. Because reread Genesis 15:15 for me.
Okay. Whoops. As for you, you shall go to your fathers in peace. You shall be buried in a good old age.
Notice he's will you gather to his fathers first, and then will be buried, right? And that's
Correct.
what happened, right?
Correct.
He was gathered to his fathers immediately when he died, and then the body was buried later with the only other body in that cave, Sarah. Okay, now notice it says you'll be.
This is what he said. He was gathered immediately. Now, how did he come to this immediately? No, you have to read into it. Bible didn't say that happened immediately. Actually, when he was gathered to his parents is when he was placed in the grave. That's when he was gathered there. So, but it doesn't say it in that order. Huh? Would it make a difference if it was in a different order? No, it wouldn't make a difference. But it's something for them to hold on to. Something for them to hold on to. At the same time, reject what the Bible does clearly state about this issue. The Bible clearly states a lot about this, what happens when someone dies. You don't have to read into that either. They tell you exactly what happened. Oh, but that's not enough. We're Trinitarian, so we can't take the Bible as it reads.
Be gathered to your fathers in peace. Implication: not everyone there is in peace. Lo and behold, Jesus our Lord comes.
Wait a minute. What? Implication: not everyone there is in peace. You can't let this guy go on, not even for a second. All of them is in peace. Every single one. Every single human being that lived and died on this planet is in peace. Every single one. Why? Because nothing is going on upstairs. Nothing. Everyone is resting. That's how Jesus did depict the death, right? It's a rest. That he said, oh, only the righteous people, when they die, they're resting. Rest. That's what it is. But that's too simple for these people. They can't understand that. You have to read into that some more until you get to the opposite of what it says. Then you have arrived to the truth. Yeah, that's the way it's done as a Trinitarian.
And demonstrates and explains what this means. Now let's go to Luke 16:19-25. Now it makes sense.
There was a rich man who was clothed in purple and fine linen, and who feasted sumptuously every day. And at his gate was laid a poor man named Lazarus, covered with sores, who desired to be fed with what fell from the rich man's table. Moreover, even the dogs came and licked his sores. The poor man died and was carried by the angels to Abraham's side. The rich man also died and was buried. And in Hades, being in torment, he lifted up his eyes and saw Abraham far off and Lazarus at his side.
Now, before we move on, notice Hades here cannot refer to the grave because he's being tormented, and he can see Abraham and Lazarus. Now, notice what this shows, that when you die, though you don't have a body, you have a spiritual form and shape by which you can still be recognized. So the rich man knew, that's Abraham, that's Lazarus, and they're there, and I'm in torment. This is why the Lord said, Abraham, when I gather you to your people, you'll be in peace. Because here you...
So, in other words, when someone dies, not only the righteous, but the wicked as well, when they die, they get extra knowledge. They're installed knowledge. For some reason, the rich man knew who Father Abraham was. Yeah, because he called him out by name. Yeah, he knew who that was. He recognized him right away. That's Father Abraham. How in the world did he know that was Father Abraham? Well, that's easy because, when he died, he got knowledge that he didn't have when he was alive. Is it just exactly how much knowledge did he get? Or he just stopped by Father Abraham? He just was able to recognize Father Abraham. How about, could he recognize every other person that was there that he didn't know? I guess so, because if he was able to recognize Father Abraham, he should be able to recognize Michael. He should be able to recognize his other forebearers, all of the prophets. He'd be able to recognize them when he raised up the body. That's Elijah right there. That's Methuselah right there. Can't miss him. Recognize him right away. He seemed to be able to recognize people that he didn't know. Interesting stuff, right? Interesting stuff. Well, let's continue. Let's see what else he can do.
See, not everyone is peace in that realm. Here's a
Not everyone is peace. Oh, this is where he's getting that not everyone is in peace because of Luke, because of the parable. Because of what the parable says. You see, there's a lot of things going on here that he's overlooking. This is our foreknowledge, or this installed knowledge. That's a problem. You have to now define how much knowledge did he get? How much knowledge did God give him? Now, because it's nothing he can do with it, but God gave it to him anyway, right? He know all kind of stuff. He know all kind of stuff. He was able, yeah, he was around when what you call this? When Moses, Father Abraham was alive. He was a contemporary. No, he wasn't, because Father Abraham told him they have Moses. So Moses was definitely after Abraham. I'm pretty sure. Abraham was dead when Moses, but he said, yeah, they have Moses. So obviously that's limiting time there. So he wasn't a contemporary of Abraham. He didn't know who Abraham was, but he was able to recognize him right off the bat. And everybody else, people, when they go to heaven, really they're going to Abraham's bosom. That's where they're going. That's heaven. That's heaven. Abraham's bosom is heaven. Oh, okay. Because if Lazarus went there, I guess everybody else went there too. Everybody, he's holding up everybody. It's not God the Father. It's not Christ. It's Abraham. See, these little problems they can't see. Why? Because they have a log in their eye. They're picking and choosing little things here and there, and they can't see around this log that they have in their eye. Serious stuff, isn't it?
The man who's tormented, but Abraham and Lazarus are in peace.
Abraham and Lazarus was in peace. Okay. So, but what does the Bible say that other people goes there that is not in peace? See, he has to use a parable to prove his point. You can't make this up. Have to use a parable to prove his point. And not even that he can actually sustain either. That's all he has, so that's what he's going to use. You can't make this up.
Keep reading all the way to 25.
The rich man was also died and was buried, and in Hades, being in torment, he lifted up his eyes and saw Abraham far off and Lazarus at his side. And he called out, "Father Abraham, have mercy on me, and send Lazarus to dip the end of his finger in water and cool my tongue, for I am in anguish in this flame."
I wonder if he's going to respond to that. I wonder if he's going to respond to that. Sometimes he's not.
But Abraham said,
Maybe
"Child, remember that you in your lifetime received your good things, and Lazarus in like..."
Not even a peep. Not even a peep. That's not important. That's not important.
"manner bad things, but now he is comforted here, and you are in anguish."
Does that sound familiar? Because God told Abraham, I will gather you to your fathers in peace, meaning you're going to be in peace there, meaning not everyone's at peace. And here our Lord confirms it. Here's Abraham, Lazarus, peace, resting, comforted. The rich man who's evil is tormented. That's how we know this parable is not simply a metaphor, but it's based on actual realities.
Yep.
Can't make that up, can you? Can't make that up. It is a parable. It was meant to portray an explanation of something. That's why Christ gave parables, right? Was this the intention behind the parable? That this was real? Was that the intention behind the parable? The answer is no. I mean, right there we should stop the conversation. The answer is no. That was not the intention behind the parable that Christ gave, was it? But it's something that they can use. So they're going to make it real. They're gonna make it real. And he didn't do it. He didn't do anything about this finger business. Dip the tip of his finger in water. The tip, not even the whole finger, just the tip, just enough to get a drop. He's asking for that. Come, so put that drop of water on my tongue. Put a drop of water on my tongue, so it can ease my suffering. What? It's like if you set someone on fire and say, yeah, put a drop of water on him, that's going to ease his suffering. I mean, common sense would tell you, man, come on. Come on. No, have mercy.
Jesus is describing what happens to the dead when they die. They are still alive in this realm, some in peace, some in torment. You can't get around this. You're not a man. Sorry for the noise. I don't know what this demon is. All right. But now.
Can't get around this. He swear he said something. They get around what? Get around the parable? Right.